Hello everyone. We can just start now. I think, yeah, we got everyone. So I would like to introduce Tarun Verma. Uh, he has over 25 years of experience in the semiconductor industry with varied leadership and technology management roles in operations and engineering. So Tarun joined Silicon Catalyst in 2015 as the first non-founder employee. Prior to that, he spent 22 years with Altera, where he led the packaging efforts for the organization. Tarun has Bachelors in Technology from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, India, and MS in Material Science from the University of California at Berkeley. So now I would like to hand over to Tarun. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, folks. This is Tarun Verma. I'm speaking from the Bay Area. I was not able to join you guys. I was giving the keynote earlier, but there were some audio challenges. But the essence of the keynote was that there is a resurgence of semiconductors and the startups are the next generation play. So this track is hosted by Silicon Catalyst to talk about emerging hardware technologies and startups. After my brief introduction, I'm going to hand it over to my Silicon Catalyst advisor, Professor David Pan, who's in the room. He's from UT Austin. He's a fellow of the ACM. He's an amazing gentleman. He will lead it off, and he'll be followed by another Silicon Catalyst advisor, Frank Thiel, who's also the CTO of Gigantor, one of our portfolio companies. And he'll be capped off by Rick Seeger, who's the co-founder and senior vice president at SigmaSense. SigmaSense is an alumnus company. They went through Silicon Catalyst some years ago. So over the next third hour or so, you'll get to see a lot of what the future is. I like to get started by introducing a little bit of Silicon Catalyst. And in kind of the keynote, my end of the keynote was why is there a need for a startup enabling ecosystem? That's what we're all about. So let's move. So we are Silicon Catalyst. We're headquartered in Silicon Valley. We accelerate startup worldwide. We are the gold standard for acceleration. I had gone through the slide in the morning session, but I'll repeat it just for the sake of continuity. We are the only accelerator focused on the global semiconductor industry. We look at chips, chiplets, materials, and silicon-enabled photonics, MEMS, sensors, life sciences, and quantum. In other words, we look for differentiated technologies that are addressing a large market and need a piece of silicon to make it happen. We opened our doors in 2015 in an environment that was not very friendly towards semiconductors. Since then, we've looked at 1,500 early-stage startup companies, spoken to mostly 2,500. Out of those 1,500 who applied for admission to our incubator, we admitted about 10% of them. So you're going to hear to 2 companies from them. We do a bespoke 24-month incubation, which is very different from the traditional incubators that tend to have for the lack of better choice of words, a very standardized program. Our programs are bespoke because it depends on the maturity and the kind of company. We have an Israel entity, we have a UK entity, we have a EU entity. And last week at my fall portfolio update, we announced the formation of Silicon Catalyst Japan and Silicon Catalyst Australia. We see a lot of interest in semiconductors worldwide, and that's where we are to enable that. The second last line there talks about we are agnostic to the field. We do not chase a particular vertical. We have companies spanning from 5G, AI, ultra-wideband, photonics, IoT, power, life sciences, MEMS sensing, materials, and now quantum. Sorry. On the funding side, we have Angels Group that was launched in 2019. We have a Ventures Group that was launched in 2024. And between us, we have made over 60 investments in this space. We've raised our portfolio companies, raised $1 billion in venture funding. We've provided over $200 million of goods and services, which through our in-kind partners, Tizol being one of them, to enable to build the working prototypes and help in grants. This is a graphic of the kind of just a snapshot of today. Red dots are where our current portfolio companies are. Blue dots are where we get applications from. So you can see we have a very international profile, and you can see that silicon startups are not limited to the Bay Area or Austin, but they're all over the world. And our goal is to help them all. How we do this, I think this chart is slightly different. We created an ecosystem that is centered on startups. There are 4 elements to it. One is strategic partners who are the acquirers of the products. The second are advisors. We have 400 plus advisors, 3 of them in the room, David, Frank, and Rick. These are industry luminaries starting from luminaries to people with 20 to 30 plus years of experience in this business. We have 70 plus in-kind partners from TSMC to ARM to Synopsys to Resolve that help an entrepreneur do chip manufacturing, and an investor network that includes 450 plus, including our own network. In addition, we have management services that we provide for our services outside of acceleration. We're partnered with the GSA, SI, and SEMI. We also work with leading universities, as 1/3 of our portfolios come from university, and David will be talking about that. And we also partner with leading accelerators. This slide shows our international presence. And again, we're going to add logos for Australia and Japan shortly. And we're also a part of the PCAS group, which is part of the NatCast, and David was part of that as well. From a timeline perspective, I want to leave this slide here. I'm not going to go through in details. I just wanted to mention that we fundamentally are a startup whose products are startups. We've been around for 10 years. The concept was in 2014. We launched in 2015. Our CEO came on board in the current CEO rather, Pete Rodriguez. We really started scaling up with building up the advisor base, the strategic partners and partnerships. That allowed us to launch Israel in 2018. Oh, sorry, this is moving a little faster. We had an Angels group that was launching. Why is this? Okay, sorry. And then we had Silicon Catalyst UK. Then we moved to 2024. We launched our fund, and we launched EU. As Mike just mentioned in his opening remarks, he just flew in from Malta, where we're having a conference as we speak. And we announced Japan and Australia. So our strategic partners list, the names are very familiar to you. These are companies that have joined our ecosystem for strategic and early access to semiconductor innovation. They include foundries, they look financial companies, the material companies. So there's a very wide range of companies. And these companies provide us a lot of personnel and people who help in our process. This is our in-kind partner list. It's a lengthy list, but from purposes of, you can see we have EDA partners, we have IP partners, we have services partners, we have foundry partners and backend partners where Resolve plays a role in, as well as business partners. The integral value of these services to a startup is north of $2.5 million. And this fundamentally guarantees discounted or complementary services as well as access. And as you know, in this business, time is money. So we have provided this as a starting point for our partners, for our companies to work with. Our process, briefly, I think one thing I want to mention, the Silicon Catalyst screening process is one of the most exhaustive and comprehensive ones. It's because we do it by involving the entire ecosystem. Our advisors get involved, our strategic partners get involved, our in-kind partners. So this kind of screening is best in class. It's a rigorous process. As I said, we looked at 1,500. After an extensive screening process, we admit about 10%. At this point, when the company is admitted, they become a part of our portfolio. A Silicon Catalyst managing partner is assigned as the advocate for those. And over the next 24 months, they help the portfolio company get the right kind of advisors to help with their go-to-market, their product market fit. The in-kind partners, goods and services are as needed. We help them write their narrative and introductions to investors so they have a story that is compelling. That includes Silicon Catalyst Angels and Silicon Catalyst Ventures, which are our own investment groups. Our strategic partners take them within their organizations and help collaborate. They have been a part of the screening process here, so they know what's going on. Collectively, we provide a lot of help with strategy, marketing, product value proposition, team, and funding, all critical in the early days of a startup, and training. And the idea is to help a company go from the concept to build a working prototype so that they can go in front of a VC. And if my previous talk had over, that's the point that VC gets interested because now you have something tangible. We have a very powerful network and we do great events worldwide. As I mentioned, the Computer History Museum, that's me giving the opening keynote. This is the November event, but I did this one exactly last week. I haven't had a chance to update it. We are able to attract a lot of people. We do this industry forum, which is a thought leadership, a platform for broad topic dialogue among the industry stakeholders, focusing on the industry's worldwide societal and geopolitical impact. So the session last week had Ravi Subramanian, the Chief Product Officer of Synopsys. We had Ann Keller, who had just retired from Intel, and Ralph Vertig, who part of Mark Papermeister's group. And this was Ajit Minocha, of the CEO of Semi, was there. And I think David was in the room at the time as well. And we were talking about on the road to $1 trillion industry, what's needed. And so this is the kind of stuff we do, and it's a great opportunity for our portfolio companies to get exposed to this ecosystem. That was held as last week. On the funding side, I'll make this quick. We have an angels group that is comprised of our advisors. It's been launched in 2019. The bottom line there is we have done 50 investments with about $15 million with syndication in this process over the last several years. So you see, and we are also syndicated with the larger angel groups in the West Coast and in the country, Sandhill Angels, Band of Angels. And what really this does is an investment by Silicon Catalyst Angels is a great seal of approval. And many companies come to us and look for that because they know if this does, it opens a lot of doors. We launched our venture fund in February of 2024. Dr. Shive's son, who's ex-chairman of UMC, he helped us launch it. Since since inception, we've now made over 35 investments. So between Silicon Catalyst Angels and Silicon Catalyst Ventures, by number of deals, we are within the top 2 semiconductor investors in the world today. We're not competing in dollars amount yet, but we are definitely in the number of deals. And we try to support every early stage startup with a combination of in-kind partner services, advising, and investment. And our goal is by providing this, they should be able to get to a stage with a working prototype and go from there. This is our team. This is my last slide. We're a bunch of industry execs whose sole passion is to encourage the next generation of semiconductor startups. And I'll wrap it up here. This is my email. For those who want to reach out to me, please reach out through email. And our website is there on Silicon Catalyst.
Thanks. All right, if you have any question, right, email Tarun or we can talk during the break, right?